Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Gopinath Radha Gopinath Ji Radhe. Jaya Radha. That's okay. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Shamshpad Brahmansa Prabhajagacharya Ashtotra Sutta Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki ISKCON BBD from Racharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Bol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tado Jaya Mudirayem Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtuki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 2, Text 14 and 15. Chapter name, Daksha curses Lord Shiva. Please repeat after me. Prethavaseshu Goreshu Prethavaseshu Goreshu Preter Bhutha Ganer Vritaham Preter Bhutha Ganer Vritaham Atati Unmatavan Nagno Atati Unmatavan Nagno Vyupta Kesho Hasan Rudan Vyupta Kesho Hasan Rudan Pretavaseshu Goreshu Preter Bhuta Ganer Vrita Atati unmathavannagno Vyuptakesho hasanrudan Predavasheshu goreshu Preter bhutaganervritaha Athati unmatavannagno Vyuptakesho hasanrudan Marjis? I will read verse 15 as well. Chitabasam kritasnanaha pretashran narasti bhushanaha shivapadesho hi ashivo mato mata janapriya phati pramatha nathanam thamo matha matratma katmanam. Transliteration, please repeat after me. Preta avasheshu, at the burning places of dead bodies. Goreshu, horrible. Pritaihi, by the pretas. Bhutaganahi, by the bhutas. Vritaha, accompanied by. Atati, he wanders. Unmata vat, like a madman. Nagnaha, naked. Vyuptakeshaha, having scattered hair. Hasan, laughing. Rudan, crying. Chita, of the funeral pyre. Basma, with the ashes. Krita snanaha, taking bath. Preta, of the skulls of dead bodies. Srak, having a garland. Nir asti bhushanaha, ornamented with dead man's bones. Shiva apadeshaha, who is Shiva, or auspicious, only in name. He, for, Ashivaha, inauspicious. Mataha, crazy. Matajanapriyaha, very dear to the crazy beings. Patihi, the leader. Pramata Nathanam, of the lords of the Pramatas. Tamaha Matra Atmaka Atmanam, of those grossly in the mode of ignorance. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Please repeat after me. He lives in filthy places like crematoriums, and his companions are the ghosts and demons. Naked like a madman, sometimes laughing and sometimes crying, he smears crematorium ashes all over his body. He does not bathe regularly, and he ornaments his body with a garland of skulls and bones. Therefore, only in name is he Shiva or auspicious. Actually, he is the most mad and inauspicious creature. Thus, he is very dear to crazy beings in the gross mode of ignorance, and he is their leader. Purport. Those who do not regularly bathe are supposed to be in association with ghosts and crazy creatures. Lord Shiva appeared to be like that, but his name Shiva is actually fitting, for he is very kind to persons who are in the darkness of the mode of ignorance, such as unclean drunkards who do not regularly bathe. Lord Shiva is so kind that he gives shelter to such creatures and gradually elevates them to spiritual consciousness. Although it is very difficult to raise such creatures to spiritual understanding, Lord Shiva takes charge of them, and therefore, as stated in the Vedas, Lord Shiva is all auspicious. Thus, by his association, even such fallen souls can be elevated. Sometimes it is seen that great personalities meet with fallen souls, not for any personal interest, but for the benefit of those souls. In the creation of the Lord, there are different kinds of living creatures. Some of them are in the mode of goodness, some of them are in the mode of passion, and some are in the mode of ignorance. Lord Vishnu takes charge of persons who are advanced Krishna-conscious Vaishnavas, and Lord Brahma takes charge of persons who are very much attached to material activities. But Lord Shiva is so kind that he takes charge of persons who are in gross ignorance and whose behavior is lower than that of the animals. Therefore, Lord Shiva is especially called auspicious. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Shakshurunmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Udapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sakrajadam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parjana Saitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishaganvitam Sya Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimadhe Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Deshatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Mukham karoti vatsalam pangolangayate girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Guru Tinatarinam Tvayvasmi Na jivami tvaya vina iti vijñadevam narmam charanantikam. Hare Krishna everyone. Welcome to this morning's Bhagavatam class. This verse need to be understood in the context of previous verses. If somebody just picks up this verse and just reads, it might be a bit misleading. The background is Daksha, who's a very famous personality. He's the son of Brahma himself. He's a Prajapati. Prajapati means he's one of the main progenitors. Progenitors are living entities who Lord Brahma has nominated to increase the population of this world. When the creation was, when the material world was created, Prajapatis, Brahma nominated the Prajapatis to populate the world with living entities, to give them material bodies. So Daksha is one of those Prajapatis who are nominated to populate the material world. And he's, being a son of Brahma himself, he's very rich and opulent. He was endowed with all the riches, and he was very opulent. And due to his opulence, he decided to perform a yagya. Generally, yagya is performed, not generally, yagya is performed for the satisfaction of Vishnu. It is the duty of every living entity to perform yagya. What is the verse from the 5th chapter? Bhoktaram yagya tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram surudam sarvabhutanam yatva shanti muchati. So the enjoyer of all yagya is Lord Krishna or Vishnu. And it is the duty of all living entities to perform yagya according to their capabilities. If you're a rich person, here Prajapati Daksha is very rich, he's very opulent. So he could perform a very big sacrificial yagya, where he invited all the demigods. In previous verses you can see Lord Brahma is there, Lord Shiva is there, all the various fire gods are there, all the demigods are present. So he invited all these great personalities. It is not, if you're just moderately rich, you can't expect all the great dignitaries to show up to your house when you're performing a yagya. We have Rath Yatra ceremonies we organize, and it's being a big festival. The local mayor comes and the local representatives might come, but it's very hard, rare to see a prime minister coming. They don't consider, even though it is for us, it's a big festival, they don't consider it as a big festival. But if you go to Puri, Jagannath Puri, the Puri king comes himself. I don't know if the Prime Minister goes. I think he went last time, the Prime Minister of India. So, when a great festival happens, the big dignitaries go. So you can see here, the yagya organized by Daksha was so big that all important personalities, all the demigods, could we close the door? Because you're getting the cooking, you can hear the... Thank you. Yeah, so the great personalities are here. So we can see how big the ceremony is. So as I mentioned before, yagya is performed for the satisfaction of Vishnu. That is the sole purpose of performing yagya. But here, Daksha was slightly sidetracked. Not slightly, very much sidetracked. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, what is that verse? Bhogaishvarya prashaktanam tya pritachetsasam vyavasayatmika buddhi eko na, what is that? Samadho na vidyate. The determination to perform devotional service is lost to a person who is overwhelmed by bhoga and aishvarya. With opulence and riches, if a person is very much in the middle of opulence and riches, his determination to satisfy the Lord or to perform devotional service is lost. So similarly here, Daksha, being the son of Brahma, endowed with all the riches, his determination to serve the Lord, to please the Lord, is lost. Instead, he is performing the yagya just to showcase his powers, how rich he is, how opulent he is. So he completely lost the very reason why he is performing the activity what he is set for to perform. We can see that he lost the purpose because for some personal reasons he started humiliating Lord Shiva. In the scriptures it is mentioned Lord Shiva, what is it? Vaishnavanam yatha Shambho. Of all the Vaishnavas, Shiva is the topmost Vaishnava. He is considered topmost servant of Krishna or Vishnu. So when you are set forth to please the master, you won't be kicking his dog. Prabhupada says you love, what is that? You love the master, you have to love his dog. You love me, you love, what is that? You love me, you love my disciples, or something like that, Prabhupada used to say. Here he wants to please Vishnu, but here in the process of pleasing Vishnu, he is humiliating Lord Shiva, who is one of the most prominent Vaishnavas. One of the most prominent Vaishnavas. So he is starting the whole process with the wrong foot. And he is also judging Shiva on the process of humiliating Lord Shiva. He is also judging Shiva based on his own understandings. So what is it? Atmavan manyate jagat. A living entity looks at the world, a conditional living entity looks at the world based on his own intelligence or his own realization or understanding. Similarly, here Daksha evaluates Lord Shiva based on his own limited understanding. Prabhupada gives this analogy all the time. What is it? Dr. Frog. Now, the Dr. Frog lives in a well, and he has a visitor, another frog to the well, who is well-traveled. So the well-traveled frog narrates his adventures, and he says he's been to the Atlantic Ocean, he's been to the Pacific Ocean, and he describes how big the ocean is. But the Dr. Frog is trying to understand the vastness of the ocean by his own limited boundaries. He has traveled only within the well. He knows only the length and breadth of that well. So he is telling the well-traveled frog Oh, is the Pacific Ocean twice as big as the well? 3 times as big as the well? 10 times as big as the well? So the Dr. Frog, his intelligence is based on only his experience of traveling within the well. So everything he sees or he tries to understand is within that understanding. All of us do it. We judge everything based on our limited understanding. Like devotees sometimes come to Mangalarti. Devotees haven't seen for a while. I come to Mangalarti now and then, and they ask me, if they came to Mangalarti on a Friday, they ask me, "Oh, do you come to Mangalarti every Friday?" And then I say, "Yes, I do come to only on Friday," because they came on Friday and they're thinking, they see me and they think, "Oh, he comes on only on Friday." I don't come on Friday or Saturday. I just come whenever I can. But you can see, this happened to me many times. People always ask me, "Oh, you come on Thursdays?" And I do go along and I say, "Yeah." So people are thinking, based on their experience, when what they do, they extrapolate. Oh yeah, if I'm doing it, people should be also doing the same thing. I come on Thursdays, so he's coming on Thursdays, only on Thursdays. So we interpret or we try to understand the situation based on our limited understanding. Here, similarly, Daksha, out of some good fortune, happened to be Lord, a lot of procreation, and based on his opulence, his riches, he is judging Lord Shiva. He's thinking to be somebody superior is somebody with a lot of riches, who is capable of performing big yagya, and unless you are capable of doing this, you're not of any significance. And happen to be, Shiva takes up a role of a mendicant. He doesn't showcase his opulence. He lives a very renounced life. Here you can see the description. He smears himself with the ashes from the crematorium. He decorates himself with the garlands made out of bones of men. He takes bath with the skull. These are extreme qualities of extreme renunciation. Extreme renunciation. He is showcasing that everything in this material world is nothing better than dead bodies. So he's showcasing extreme renunciation. And he lives in places like crematorium. A few years back, I visited a temple near Nasik, Sirambakeshwar temple. Anybody been there? It's one of the Jyotirlingas. It's a few hundred kilometers from Bombay. It's an ancient temple, and it's situated right in the middle of a crematorium. The whole surrounding is crematorium. And all the rituals performed there are rituals performed in a crematorium. I was very surprised to see that. I guess River Godavari originates from that particular place. There's a pond, and that pond is considered the birthplace of River Godavari. So he lives, Lord Shiva lives in these extreme situations. And these situations cannot be imitated by ordinary living entities. In essence, he is in charge of the whole material universe. His wife, Sati, is the material energy. She is Mahamaya. And she's a very faithful wife. She's not the modern day. She's very faithful to her husband. The person who is in charge of this whole material world, who orchestrates Devi hi esha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya. She cannot be overcome, and she manages or she manipulates this whole material energy, and she happens to be a subservient wife of Lord Shiva. So you can see how great Lord Shiva is. And all the materialists, they all worship Mother Parvati for material benefits. And she do award them based on their praise, whatever opulence they want. So imagine being her husband, how opulent he is. And in various scriptures it is explained, if he is the Lord of the, what is it, Atala Vitala Sutala Loka, and he lives there. In Brihad Bhagavatamrita it is explained that he's in charge of the impersonal Brahman. So he's not an ordinary personality. From the material point of view, he's a very great person, and on top of it, he is expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself. What Brahma says in Brahma Samhita, what is that verse? Shiram yatadadi vihara vishesha yoga sanjayate nahi tatha prityak asti heto yasambhutam samupaiti karyat govindamadi purusham tamaham brajami. As milk is converted to yogurt, similarly Lord Shiva, Lord Krishna is like milk, and yogurt is non-different from milk because it comes out of milk, but it has its own specific quality. It has a bit of a sourness. Similarly, Lord Shiva is expansion of Vishnu, and Prakriti Hasti Hetu, and his expansion of Prakriti is expansion of Lord Vishnu, and yes, Sambhutam Samupaiti Karyat, and he has expanded into Lord Shiva to perform a specific karyat, specific task, to perform a specific activity. That specific activity is to manage this material world. This material world is a world of ignorance. The other two qualities of passion and goodness are only subordinate qualities in this material world. The predominant modes of nature in this material world is mode of ignorance. Starting from Brahmaloka to all the way to Patalaloka, material world, the predominant quality is mode of ignorance. Because the living entities here are ignorant of their true nature and also ignorant of Krishna. Since they are ignorant of Krishna, they are placed in this material world, the world of ignorance. And depending on, if you're a higher planetary system, the goodness and passion ratio increases. Otherwise, predominantly, it's a place of ignorance. So Lord Shiva, a special task, a tireless task, is to manage this place of ignorance. This place of ignorance. So here, as manager of this place of ignorance, he showcases the how do you put it ironically, the wonderful material world by completely rejecting it. So he leads a very extreme ascetic lifestyle. He doesn't decorate just because I'm the king of this particular place. For example, the Nizams of Hyderabad. they're still considered very rich because you can mine diamonds. The best quality diamonds comes from the Golconda region. So the Nizams had a lot of diamonds, just coming out of Godavari River. So, they used to decorate themselves with a lot of diamonds. But here, Shiva, being the master of the whole material universe, he is not decorating with all the good products of this material, so-called good products of this material world, but he is decorating himself with ashes of dead body to exhibit the extreme renunciation, detachment from this material world. So that's how he presents himself. But Daksha, on the other hand, being proud of his little material opulence, not understanding the great quality of Lord Shiva, criticizes him. And so, what is that verse? Bhagavad Gita. Prahlad bhavati sammoha, sammoha shruti vibhramasya. What is that? Shruti vibhramasya buddhinasha. No. Prahlad bhavati sammoha, sammoha shruti vibhramasya. Buddhinasha pranayashati. Yeah, pranayashati. So here, Daksha, not recognizing Lord Shiva's position, just sees that he's just my son-in-law. Just because he married my daughter, he's just my son-in-law. Being a son-in-law, he's inferior to me. And when I walk in, and I'm this opulent Prajapati, he should be standing up and paying obeisances to me. That's how he is looking at Shiva, and not recognizing that Shiva is the expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. So, because of this, he gets really angry. Krodha, he becomes extremely angry. Krodhat bhavati sammoha. And because of that anger, his intelligence, even though he's a great personality, his intelligence gets disturbed, or intelligence goes out of the door. And since his intelligence is off the door, he starts criticizing the greatest personality. And as the verse goes, because of that, when a person's intelligence is lost, everything is lost. So similarly, in future verses, you can see what happens to Daksha. There's a saying in Bengali. Is any Bengali speakers here? No? Oh yeah, he's Bengali, but he's busy with something else. What is that saying in Bengali? Pagal na. What is that? Ki bravo? Eta pagal na. Na boli, shagol na khai, something like that. So it means there's nothing a madman would not say, and there's nothing a goat would not eat. In South India, there's few more added to it, but I won't say those things. So the first two lines is a madman. There's nothing a madman wouldn't say. If a person has gone mad, there's nothing you would say. You'll just, you see mad. When you go on Harinam or something, you can see people who are mad. They just start yelling at you, and they start cursing at you. Similarly, here, Daksha, because of his opulence, has lost his mind. He has gone mad, completely mad. And since he is completely mad, he is speaking unsavory words about Lord Shiva. So there's nothing a madman wouldn't say. And there's also the saying goes, there's nothing a goat wouldn't eat. A goat will eat anything, any kind of plant. It won't discriminate. It'll eat the thorns, it'll eat any toxic plants. If there is weed grown in your garden, you just get a goat, it'll clean it up. Starve the goat for a day and then let it in the garden and it'll clean up the whole. It'll uproot all the weeds. Especially in Australia, you have this blackberries, which has thorns, and it's very hard to get rid of. But you just have the goat. The goat will take care of it, because the goat will eat anything. So as the saying goes here, Daksha, because of his madness, speaks unwanted things and ends up being, having the head of a goat. In future verses, we can see. So here Daksha has lost his mind, and he is criticizing. Generally, criticism is bad, criticizing others. But here he is criticizing one of the great Vaishnavas. So for all the offenses, criticizing the Vaishnava is the greatest offense. And it doesn't matter how a strong devotee you are, criticizing a Vaishnava destroys all your devotional qualities. It is said that criticizing devotees is it's like uprooting a creeper. It's completely uprooting, pulling the creeper off completely. The devotional service in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is compared to a creeper, a very delicate creeper. And one has to safely grow this creeper, the devotional service. But a Vaishnava aparad is considered uprooting, pulling out the creeper from the root. And if you just clip here and there, and these are other offenses, if you clip the leaves here and there, the creeper could survive. But if you uproot it from the root, the plant might be green for a day or two. Since the root has been uprooted, it's definitely destined to die. The plant is definitely destined to die. Similarly here, Daksha is uprooting whatever little sukriti he had. And even though in few words, few chapters you can see that he is capable of performing a big yagya and all, but he doesn't last. The plant may be green for a few days when you uproot it, but after a few days it will definitely die. So he here offends Lord Shiva and then goes and performs the yagya, but it doesn't last. The future, we can see what happens in future. So one has to be extremely careful criticizing Vaishnava. A criticism can be done only by a senior person who has good intentions to correct a person. There's a younger devotee and he's doing something wrong, and if a person is in an authority and he has the right intention to correct the person, then he can point out, to just say, Prabhu, you're doing this and this is not right because of these reasons, so make sure you correct yourself. So that is the only allowed area where a person is allowed to deal with a younger devotee. Must be a younger devotee. Otherwise, criticizing or judging a person, senior or junior, with no intention of correcting them, is considered Vaishnava aparad. And of all the aparads, Vaishnava aparad is considered, the mad elephant offense. The elephant, when it becomes very well-fed elephant, when it is very opulently taken care, it oozes something from its forehead. It's called matha. It's a liquid, like a fragrance, it oozes. And if it oozes that fragrance, it completely goes mad. It becomes uncontrollable. Elephant is not a small creature, it's a big creature. And if it goes completely mad, it destroys everything in its path. Similarly, sometimes us devotees might be blessed with some opulence, with some position, some mundane recognition you might get. But one has to be extremely careful when they come to these riches, how to deal with, how you deal with others. Just because you're rich, you accumulated some wealth out of some good fortune as a devotee, one should not start judging others. One should not start judging others based on their own opulence. That's what here Daksha is doing. For some good fortune, he happened to accumulate some wealth, and because of that wealth, he is like the mad elephant, very opulent, managed, looked after by a king, and when it becomes really fat and opulent, it oozes this liquid from its forehead. Similarly, Daksha, because of opulence, he's very proud. He's oozing this. What is it? Proud, and because of that, he's completely gone mad. Completely gone mad, and he's criticizing Lord Shiva, who is the incarnation of the Supreme Personality Godhead. And by doing so, his all this auspiciousness, whatever Daksha has accumulated, it's going to get removed from him to the extent he's going to get killed. So that is the predicament. Devotees must be very careful, especially when they are blessed with opulence. That's why devotees pray, Nadanam Najanam Nasundarim Kavitam va Kamaye. Don't want opulence, don't want followers, because the opulence, followings, it has a natural tendency to boost your ego, and once it boosts your ego, you lose your intelligence. So generally devotees voluntarily keep themselves simple. They don't over endeavor. They voluntarily keeps themselves simple. But if Krishna offers them opulence, they have the right attitude. They understand this doesn't belong to me, it belongs to Krishna. I'm just a caretaker, and they don't get carried away by the opulence, what they receive. So a few other points to make. Here, Prabhupada emphasizes the importance of taking a regular bath. We discussed early that this material world is a world of ignorance. There are three modes of nature: mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. Generally, by default, this material world is ignorance. So one has to constantly strive to place himself in mode of goodness. Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nistraigunya Bhavajuna Nirdvando Nitya Sattvasto Yogakshema Vahamyaham. To have Shema, to have any auspiciousness, one has to be Nitya Sattva. Always, constantly strive to place oneself in mode of goodness. To place oneself in mode of goodness. And the first thing, external thing, by which one can place oneself in mode of goodness is taking a bath. Taking a bath. So, devotees, brahmanas, they are encouraged to shower. Ideally 3 times a day. Ideally 3 times a day. The sannyasis, brahmanas, 3 times a day. If you can't, minimum standard is 2 times a day. Morning and evening. Minimum standard. One time, just shower in the morning, or I just take shower in the evening, that's not acceptable. That's not a Brahminical standard. When I say Brahminical standard, it means everybody who leads a Brahminical culture, not just Brahmanas, anybody who leads a Brahminical culture. And all the people within the Varnashram system, Brahmanas, Vaishyas, Kshatriyas, and Shudras, they all live under Brahminical culture. They may not be Brahmanas themselves, but they all lead a Brahminical culture. So anybody who leads a Brahminical culture should adhere to taking bath minimum 2 times, ideal 3 times. And when we say minimum 2 times, as soon as we get up in the morning, take a shower. Most of the material, most of the people outside, you work with, they don't take bath in the morning. They take bath in the evening after they go finish their work. When people go out and eat, which is completely forbidden, especially devotees, we should not be eating outside, food cooked by others. Just remember, the person serving the food or preparing the food most probably haven't bathed in the morning. And this is reality. Even if it is it's just a vegetarian restaurant, they don't cook onion, garlic. But 99% of the cases, the person has just got up and went to work and is preparing your meal. So avoid eating outside because people are not clean. And also devotees, I've seen devotees, they just get up in the morning, brush their teeth, and then have breakfast. I've seen devotees doing this. These are all as it says here, the activities of the people in association of ghost and crazy creatures, according to Prabhupada. You get up in the morning, you take bath, brush your teeth, take bath, and then ideally go to the temple, or if you're not close to a temple, have an altar at home, pay obeisances to your deities, and then start your day. Auspicious, that's how he said. I was listening to a lecture where Prabhupada says snana means, taking bath means, getting up in the morning, getting up in the morning in the sense before sunrise, taking a bath, visiting a temple, and the temple generally offers chandan. Here we used to have the tradition when I was a pujari also here, and I used to make extra chandan. It is offered to Prabhupada during Guru Puja and given to everyone. That's a standard. We used to follow, but kind of dwindled now. So that giving chandan, Prabhupada says that accepting this chandan, that is you're taken your morning bath. Not just pouring water, but pouring water, washing yourself, coming to the temple, taking darshan, receiving the chandan, then your bath is complete. I heard Prabhupada mentioning in his lecture. So one has to cultivate the activities in mode of goodness, like taking a bath morning, evening, in the afternoon if possible, and taking bath in river. If you happen to be close to a river, taking bath in a river is considered auspicious. If you're close to an ocean, taking bath in the ocean is considered auspicious. River, ocean, well, and the final is tap. The quality of baths. River, ocean, or a pond. That's why Chanakya Pandit says, don't migrate to a place where there's no river or a pond. Because for auspicious bath, you need a river. You live in Mayapur, you go to Ganga. You live in Vrindavan, you go to Yamuna. But there's no more Yamuna left there to take bath. But these are the Vedic standards to take bath in a river. My grandmother, my father's mother's father, my grandmother used to tell, he used to get up every day in the morning and he used to walk 16 miles. Miles, I don't know how much it translates to kilometers, around 20, 30 kilometers I would say. He used to walk every day to a particular river and take his bath, wash his clothes and do his puja, and then he used to come home and start whatever he does. That was his standard every day he used to do. And my grandma used to tell, he didn't do 1 week when he was old, and that week he died. So the entire lifetime he used to practice that, getting up in the morning, going to the river, taking bath. Of course, we don't live any close to a river, or we live a lifestyle which doesn't support that. So at least get up in the morning before sunrise, take a bath. When you go out, go to work outside, or you don't go out, take a bath in the evening. And again, I've seen devotees, they have regular work, they go out, they come back, they don't take bath. I'm not talking outside people, I'm talking devotees. I've seen. They don't take bath. Just remember, you're using public toilets. You're handshaking people. You're contaminated. So when you come back from work in the evening, take a shower. Even though these are external activities, but these activities puts you in mode of goodness. Mode of goodness. Mode of goodness. And of course, if you're a pujari, the standard is higher. So at least minimum. Okay, I will stop here. If you have any questions or comments or corrections, fire away. He's considered a Kshatriya, I would say, because he's a progenitor, he's a king. Or yeah. Yeah. So, what's your question? Yeah, look, the activities here of Daksha is nothing Brahminical. He's performing yagya for showcasing his powers. He's not even doing it for satisfying Vishnu. Lord Kapila categorizes devotional service, not categorizes, he says devotional service can be performed or are performed in three modes, in mode of goodness, in mode of passion, and mode of ignorance. And he says if it is performed in mode of goodness, he gives what are the results. He gives descriptions. And this is also explained by Krishna in 11th canto also again. Devotional service is performed in three modes. Generally, devotional service is supposed to be performed beyond these modes of nature. But if a person is inflicted by these three modes, they tend to perform devotional service in that mode. And the consequences are also explained. So the example for a person performing devotional service is mode of ignorance is given as Daksha. So even though he's seemingly worshipping Vishnu, he's doing it for all wrong reasons. He's doing it with ignorance, the mode of ignorance. Here Daksha, even though he's a great personality, he is the father of the material energy Mahamaya herself. As a Prajapati, Prajapatis, there's two kinds of Prajapatis, or progenitors. Here, Daksha seemingly tend to act more like a Kshatriya in this case. In this case, yeah. No, they are endowed with basic knowledge. They are endowed with lot more knowledge than basic knowledge. But Krodhat Bhavati Sammoha. Sammoha Shruti Vibrama. Doesn't matter how intelligent you are, but you're overcome by anger, your intelligence is bewildered. You have to have intelligence to get bewildered. So here he has the intelligence, he had the intelligence, but because of his anger, which comes out of his being proud of Bhoga and Aishwarya, he loses his intelligence. And once he loses his intelligence, he becomes mad. Shruti Vibrama, mad. And once you're mad, there's nothing a madman wouldn't say, nothing a goat wouldn't eat. So that's how it should be understood. Well, there's two ways. There's few explanations given. One is he shows extreme renunciation. Being the husband of the in charge of this material universe, he doesn't want to be seen as an enjoyer. He's not enjoying. So he shows extreme renunciation. He displays extreme renunciation. Display of extreme renunciation is smearing ashes. Now, who would smear ashes from a crematorium? It's extreme renunciation. You need to be extremely renounced to do something like that. That's why Vaishnavas don't wear the ashes. If you go to a Shiva temple, they give you ashes. It represents ashes from the crematorium. But it's made from cow dung and other herbs, but it represents that. That's why, Vaishnavas don't wear, don't put that on. And if they offer, they just respectively, take it. And when you wear, if you come to touch those ashes, you're supposed to take bath before you go into the altar. So he displays this extreme renunciation. Some people tend to imitate. There's always imitators, and some people tend to imitate him. Excuse me. They also smear themselves with ashes. Since Shiva drank poison, they smoke ganja. So these are all not bona fide. As Brahma says in Brahma Samhita, the verse I quoted, Sambhutam Samapaiti Karyat, a special task. He is credited with a special task. And these special tasks, it's not just one task of managing the material world, the other task is that he is also very kind. So he gives shelter to people to living entities who don't have any other shelter. Like here Prabhupada says, people in mode of goodness naturally are sheltered by Lord Vishnu. People in mode of passion are naturally sheltered by Brahma. So people who are in ignorance, in extreme ignorance, they don't have shelter. Out of this unsheltered living entities, not all, some lucky ones tend to take shelter of Lord Shiva, and he accommodates them. He accommodates them. He keeps them as his entourage, and gradually elevates them. It's not like all ghosts and inauspicious creatures they take shelter. No, some auspicious, some out of the inauspicious, some of them take shelter of Lord Shiva, and he accommodates them because he is kind. And of course, overall, all those living entities who have lost their gross body and who can't get their gross body back, who are stuck in ghastly creatures, overall, Lord Shiva is responsible for them. He's overall responsible for them. That's a tireless task he takes. And not just because he's doing the task doesn't mean he's contaminated by it. It's like the typical example Prabhupada gives is the prison warden. He is there in the jail every day, dealing with the prisoners every day, but he is not contaminated by the prison. He is not bound by the laws of the prison. Similarly, Lord Shiva is responsible for all these creatures in mode of ignorance. He is doing a tireless job. Because he is doing a tireless job and gradually elevating these living entities who have no other opportunity, he is called Shiva, auspicious, because he's giving auspiciousness even to people who can't get it. Who can't get it. And these creatures are active highly active during Sandhya times, when the night meets the day, and when the day meets the night, the sunset and sunrise hours. So these creatures are highly active. Lord Shiva takes them for a walk during these hours. So one has to avoid sleeping during these hours, or having intercourse during these hours. These hours are considered very inauspicious. So you tend to perform activities which are highly in mode of goodness, like bathing in holy rivers, chanting, performing aratis, kirtan. So you tend to. But if you tend to perform activities like eating, sleeping, or intercourse, you get influenced by these creatures. That's why if you sleep in the Sandhya time, you get unnecessary dreams and visions. And people who have intercourse during these hours, the morning hours or in the evening hours, these creatures enter the womb, take that opportunity, enter the womb, and you get wonderful children. Well, that is the world we live in. We live in a world where most of the procreation happens after you have a couple of glasses of wine, or when you're intoxicated, not knowing what time and place, and then you end up having unwanted progeny. So I'm going over time, so if you class was over half an hour ago. You're welcome to go. I'll just sit here and answer questions. So you don't need to be obliged to sit here. Let me correct you, we're not going to get Mahabhav. Mahabhav is something, it's exclusively the property of Radharani. Yeah, yeah, Bhava and Prema, yeah, yeah. So what's the question? I think it's a bit out of topic for what we are discussing here. So I'll just keep it short. This is a discussion to be had outside because it's not part of the attentive within the context. It's not one lifetime. Well, if you don't want it to be in one lifetime, it is designed for one lifetime. The process is designed for one lifetime. It can be achieved in one lifetime. In early stages, it might appear to be insurmountable. Like, do you play mridanga? Okay, something, okay. Say, like the boys were playing this morning, very nice mridanga. You listen to it. If you haven't played mridanga, or if you're just learning the first tereketa, the first, you're thinking, how am I going to get that? It's easier. In one lifetime, I don't think so I'll be able to play. But if you just follow the process, just go from, first mantra to second mantra, tereketa, tere, tere, tereketa. When you come to 10th mantra or 15th mantra, then the process becomes easy. As long as you don't pick up bad habits. Similarly, in the early stages of devotion service, when you're just starting up the process, it looks insurmountable. It's like, what? Me, offense? Me not, having that kind of faith, it's impossible. That's how it appears. But by following the process, it accelerates. The process accelerates itself. Do I make sense? At one point it just goes quick. Yeah, it just goes quick. And then it becomes natural. So one has